So the way people have come to think about this is that during this 1990 to 2003 period, more children were treated for depression, maybe a threefold increase in kids brought for treatment. There was a twofold increase in the use of prescription antidepressants, namely the SSRIs, the Prozac, Zoloft, Paxil category of drug. Most of us would think an overuse, but nonetheless an increase in use. But those were correlated, those two things, increased treatment, increased use of medication, increased sophisticated psychological, psychiatric interventions, then we thought correlated with this 20% decrease. The increase comes, and the only variable that anybody knows that was different was a massive reduction in the amount of antidepressants prescribed. A massive, I think 45% reduction, which on one hand was a good sign, right? Because there is a little bit of a sense that if you're depressed or suicidal, whatever, you should get a pill, and that should take care of you, which there's just no way in hell that's going to be the case. So on one hand, it's not just, but there is something about the decrease as one variable in a fairly multi-pronged attack against depression and as an illness as one of the components of suicide.
It's not just about the high-achieving students. Stress is something that every student and every adult can experience. And I wanted to show you this. You know, this may seem familiar with your own children or people you know. You know, trying to take all the tough courses because that's what the colleges are telling them they should do. You know, joining a lacrosse team or some other sports, but also having multiple clubs. You know, also tutoring, doing things outside of school. And while not every student has this type of schedule, this is what the culture is telling them they need to do. So there are many sources of stress, and it's important for you to have conversations with your children, or even, you know, a lot of this I hope will be helpful for you, is just to look at the different sources. And the self, as you know, our kids can sometimes be their own worst enemies. And one of the things that we found is as kids get more and more stressed, they become more and more perfectionists. So you start the year in your AP history class and you believe that a B, I want to get through, I want to get a decent score on the AP test, I want to get a B or better. Well, as the year goes on, their expectations tend to change. All of a sudden it's an A or it's going to be a failure. They have to get a perfect score on the AP test. And you'll see groups of kids starting to have these same sort of traits. Home is an absolute factor, and the primary example is your expectations on your children as far as their own performance. And I'll get into a little bit more of that down the road. And the school, I've been very open, and it's been some difficult but good conversations about what our role is. I think in a lot of ways, we're very hypocritical in the way we structure our school. We say, we tell kids, don't focus so much on the grades, yet everything we do is structured around grades and ranking kids, sorting kids into levels. So we're looking at things like homework, the way we schedule our own demands. So we have an important role in this. You can also help them manage, and I say help them manage. It's not control their experience or their workload or how they make decisions. It's just be a support, be a sounding board of how they're going to fit all these things into their schedule. But let them make those decisions. If you think they're getting in over their head, express your opinion, but let them experience that and then be there for them if they want to back off. Students, I would say that the most serious stressor and when things get incredibly dangerous is when kids feel that their support from their parents or their love from their parents is conditional on grades or conditional on how they do on the athletic field or in the musical. And again, this is a perception, but I will challenge everybody here to question your own assumptions about how your children feel about what your expectations are around college, around grades. Because what you find is a huge disconnect about what you think you've communicated to your children and what they actually think.
Suicide rate in different towns, that was very surprising to me that so many people actually commit suicide. And a lot of times also I learned that kids actually are not going to tell you things when they are under stress. So we need to probably probe more into their lives and talk to them. Even though we are thinking that we are supporting them, actually probably we are not supporting them unless we talk to them and try to find out what are their difficulties.